Security News. They contacted me and they want me to teach a course called, this is 132, I think it's 142 next semester. And I didn't know what it was. I looked into it, it's assembly language. And I said, oh, well, now we're talking. I only with difficulty restrained myself from throwing assembly language into this course. Assembly language is really important for the world of hacking, so I've been teaching it for years. And there was a textbook, they had a couple textbooks I didn't really like, and I looked online, and there's a free online document called Dive Into Systems, which is very good. Serious articles. So I'm very used to this as a textbook and for next semester. So this will be C and Python to get you as an introduction to assembly language. And it's mostly about assembly language, which is something I really like. In fact, at my other college, City College San Francisco, the assembly language course was very bad, taught by a very bad professor for a long time. And this was a real hindrance to the hackers, because you've got to know assembly language if you're going to do serious hacking. And finally, they taught a better assembly language course. But anyway, I became very interested in assembly language. It does move you up a real level in the world of hacking. A lot of people didn't take me seriously in the hacking world until I started teaching exploit development in machine code, and then they decided this stuff was serious, because that's a barrier. Just like mathematics is a barrier to people, understanding machine language and assembly code is a barrier for really understanding what's going on in a computer. And anyway, so that's what I'll be doing next semester apparently.
Do you know, have you got any idea what time you're doing it, or?
No, they're still negotiating that. They tried to put it on Monday, and I said I'd rather have it on Tuesday. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm just hoping to make it a day when I don't teach an evening class in San Francisco on the same day, because that's getting a little tiring. But it'll be, I don't know. None of the details are worked out yet. But I guess they'll work that out pretty soon. This is typically, I don't know exactly what happens at this college, but this is the time when they're usually finalizing the next semester schedule, so students can start enrolling within a couple weeks.
And I've never touched C programming. Would it still be acceptable to try this class?
Oh yeah. That's why I thought this was fun. These guys use both C and Python as an introduction.
I see.
So if you know either one, you're fine. Although C is much closer to assembly language.
Right.
But you'll see, you don't really do anything advanced in C if you're trying to learn assembly language. You do very basic C, and then you understand what's going on below the hood. And like I say, if you love it, like I do, you don't need other languages. Like Steve Gibson runs the Security Now podcast. He writes everything in raw assembly language. Once you learn how to do it, you don't need these higher level languages for almost anything. In fact, anyway, especially if you have good style with assembly language, and those books are really old, hard to get anymore. But if you organize yourself properly, you can just write your own routines for everything. You know, this is what Fermi did, the famous physicist. He would never go to the library for anything. If he had any question, it was faster for him to just figure it out himself than to read anybody else's work. And anyway, that's some people like to do things that way. So one of the companies I'm consulting for was talking about this product, so I looked at it, and boy, this product makes me nervous. H-Data is an AI product to help you do your regulatory reporting required if you're a critical infrastructure company. So this will do data discovery. It will hunt through all your documents. You don't have to cut and paste from all these documents to make your compliance reports. And make your compliance reports, reporting all the things you have to do. The thing that troubles me about it, of course, is that AI lies a lot. AI will just make up stuff. And I've got a bunch of projects in my AI course where you just ask an AI question when it doesn't know the answer, and it will just lie. And there is no way to tell the lie from the real answer after it knows the right answer. In both cases, it will make a perfectly formatted page of impressive document sounding like it really knows what it's doing. So I don't know.
It's kind of funny, honestly.
What's that?
It's kind of funny, honestly. You try and cheat on a test and it gives you a fake essay.
Yes, it's very, and see, if you understand how it works, it all makes sense. It doesn't understand a word of what you're saying or what it's saying. It's just like doing pattern matching. It takes the words you fed in, finds a page with words that look close to that, and repeats whatever that page had on it. It's like somebody speaking a language they don't speak, like an actress that only speaks Japanese, memorizing an English song to sing it. It sounds like she knows English, but she doesn't in fact know what she's saying. And the AI has no idea what it's saying either. It's just good at faking. It's not intelligence, it's intelligence simulation. It fools humans into thinking it's intelligent. And now the latest version, this is actually in one of these next articles here, Apple. Apple did this research, which is interesting. The new version of ChatGPT claims it can do reasoning now. ChatGPT 4-0 or something like that. And so they tested it. What's that?
I'm sure it can.
Well, that's the question, of course. And by the way, to be fair, in science fiction, which is where our only guide to all this stuff, all the point of like the robot scary things like Terminator, everything, all the point of science fiction movies about artificial intelligence is that it is not really intelligent the way humans are. It makes strange decisions, just doesn't notice that it's killing people. You know, the stuff we're creating is kind of like the stuff you see in those movies. You tell it to like make the most paper clips and it will just wipe out everything to make it all paper clips because it has no common sense. And it's, you know, that is what I would call not real intelligence. That is like just a machine that just does something repetitively without having any clue about the consequences. Anyway, so they now claim it does reasoning, and so they tested it. There is a test, which is 8,000 grade school mathematical word problems, like Bob has 5 apples, now he eats 2 of them, how many does he have left? Questions like that. So I want to see if it, and it turns out it can do pretty well on that quiz, but if you change some of the phrases, it degrades the performance significantly. So here, they have a question about Oliver picks 44 kiwis on Friday, then he picks 58 kiwis on Saturday. On Sunday, he picks double the number he did on Friday. And it used to say, how many does he have? So that he has a high chance of getting it right, but if you add this additional phrase, 5 of them were a bit smaller than average. Now it will get it wrong. And this, I thought this was interesting because I think humans will get this wrong too. Students will get this wrong in a quiz. When you add that phrase, apparently you're suggesting that you don't really want to count those 5. And that's what it typically does. It'll subtract 5 at the end because it sounds like you wanted to subtract 5 at the end. But anyway, they find that changing the names of these, changing the name of the fruit, adding irrelevant details will confuse these AIs a lot. And they take that as evidence that they're not really reasoning, which I think is clear from the way they work. Really, all these LLMs have done is find a way to more efficiently make a Google search. I mean, instead of doing a Google search, finding 5 documents and averaging them together, they made a mathematical representation of billions of web pages. So they can mathematically predict what the most likely answer you'll find if you searched for it was. That's essentially all it is. Anyway, so this I was very interested in. So Iran hacked Trump and dumped out some internal documents. It turned out to be his vice president's Oppo file, which is now out there, and people say it's in fact pretty boring and nothing terribly exciting about it. But of course, the point is, Trump asked Russia to hack the Democrats in 2020, and they did, and dumped out stuff, and that was actually significant enough to have an effect on the election. So you might think the campaign would probably rather not have this happen, so they got these unhackable phones, and these unhackable phones are interesting. And the company says they've offered them to the Democrats too, but they haven't taken them up on it yet. This is Green Hill. I've known these guys forever. Green Hills makes the software that runs fighter jets, and it is not open source, and you can't get a copy of it to play with. It's all secret, and I think the same thing's true of the phones. So I looked up their IDE, their product development environment, which they call multi-IDE, and it really does sound impressive. This thing can does C and C++ compilers. It does multiple compilers. And it has a history viewer, which will explain how did you get to this point, what led us here. A time machine, so you can step backwards to see what it did. You can save debugging snapshots and send them to other people. And then those are pretty ordinary, but here's showing the time it took to do every part of the step, so you can optimize the time, because the original virtue of Green Hill's software is its real-time operating system. In a normal operating system, you click on something and it's unpredictable how long it'll take for it to take effect, but that's not acceptable for a fighter jet. Real-time operating systems they know exactly how many milliseconds it will be when you make a request until you get the answer, and they watch how long everything takes and make sure it's all under control. And then, this is the time machine, you go back in time. Double check is very interesting. It automatically checks for programming errors before running your program at the point of compilation. And it has runtime error checking. While you're running, it will again pick up bugs like memory corruption during runtime. So it sounds really great. I would like to play with this. I don't think there's a free version of this thing available for us either. But anyway, if there was, I would certainly like to have it in my classes and teach my students to do it, because getting the really dangerous bugs out of programs is not easy. Yeah.
Now, when you first mentioned this headline, I'll have to confess I was a little skeptical, because there have been a lot of people in the industry who have tried to advertise an unhackable phone.
Oh, they shouldn't say that. Whenever anybody claims something is unhackable, that proves that they don't understand security. Nothing is unhackable. However, this stuff is pretty good. This stuff is far. That's right. So I mean, you're quite correct. That's one of the classic red flags. If anybody says this thing is unhackable, that proves they don't understand security.
Right, because normally when you say that, you expect them to be a snake oil salesman. So imagine my surprise when you show this, and
Yeah.
it's a very legitimate company.
I know, that's why I looked, because they said it's unhackable. I said, okay, what's going on? Because I've dealt with a bunch of people that claim things are unhackable and they're just idiots. But Green Hill, I knew them. They do seriously important stuff. So either they're not idiots or we're really in big trouble, because then our missiles and fighter jets are also getting hacked, which I don't think is happening. So it does look like they really have, and I don't know if Green Hill called it unhackable. I think maybe somebody on the Trump team called it unhackable. But I don't, the Green Hill looks pretty serious. Yeah, but you're right, correct. Whenever anybody says something is foolproof, they haven't considered enough fools, especially, and the whole point, if you say anything unhackable, that's like waving a red flag in front of a bull to all the hackers in the world. Oh, that means if I hack it, I'll get famous. Anyway.
You're either going to get thrown in jail or you're going to get a job offer from the government.
Or both, yes. Yeah. Anyway, all right. And Windows 10 is reaching the end of support, which is going to be a boondoggle, because most people would rather use Windows 10 than Windows 11, and they can't upgrade to Windows 11 without buying new hardware. And there is no actual value in Windows 11 that anybody can discern that would justify buying new hardware. So this is pretty annoying. Microsoft did the same thing with Vista. We'll see what comes of this. What they eventually had to do with Vista was they had to keep extending the XP end of life date, because people would not go to Vista. They said, forget it, I'll just use an abandoned operating system before I will buy new hardware to upgrade to this new one that seems to just be inferior in every way. And that's exactly how people feel about Windows 11. Yeah.
You know the hilarious thing about Vista?
Yeah.
A lot of the first computers that shipped with Vista weren't actually up to the tech specs of Vista, and that's why it has such a bad track record.
Yeah, that Microsoft changed the technical requirements for Vista in like October, after all the stores had already manufactured all their Christmas supply. And they freaked out. And that's why they had to invent something called Vista Home Edition that would run on the old hardware, because, and they're doing the same thing. This whole thing with Windows 11 is the same. Why do they have to do, the critical thing is the encryption, which is a TPM chip, and they required you to upgrade to TPM version 2, when in fact, there's nothing terribly wrong with the old version, TPM 1.1. And you can't force everybody to upgrade unless there's really some important reason. But Microsoft frequently does this. The reason to upgrade is so they can get more money out of you, but I don't know why, because they don't sell hardware. They'd get the same amount of money if people upgraded their Windows 10. Anyway, so I'm going to stop that.